Over the course of these documentation projects, I haven't played every single game before I start work on a video about it, but in a large number of the cases, I have, and even played them when they were new. In the case of Image Fight for the PC Engine, it's been at least 20 years since I last played it, and I remember it being a lot better than this. Image Fight started out as an Irem arcade game, and it's kind of their follow-up to R-Type, in the sense that it was the next arcade shoot-'em-up developed after it. Though actually the development team were the same people behind Ninja Spirit. Longtime viewers of the channel might remember that I've already talked about Image Fight. The Famicom version was actually released about 4 months before the PC Engine version. It's actually kind of technically impressive for a Famicom game. Of course, the PC Engine version takes everything a lot further. More enemies, more bullets, more slowdown. The plot of the game is that the Earth's automatic defense system, located on the moon, has gone insane and is attacking the planet. Someone is going to have to fly to the moon in the experimental space attack craft Daedalus and shut it all down. But they're not just going to entrust you with that expensive piece of hardware. No, first you have to prove yourself in a simulator. That's where the title Image Fight comes from. The first 5 stages are the simulator, and then the final 3 are the assault on the moon. On the simulator stages, you have to shoot down a certain percentage of the enemy craft, and if you don't meet that number, then you have to complete a super hard penalty stage before you're allowed to continue. When you start the game, you have your choice of 4 difficulty levels. I sampled all of them, and I think the primary difference between them is how fast bullets move. Any patterns were the same across all of them, and it really seemed to come down to the number of shots enemies made and how fast those bullets, missiles, and lasers moved. But even on the easiest difficulty, there are points where you will simply be flooded by attacks. No matter what difficulty level you choose, Image Fight is not an easy game. Another option when you start the game is for normal fire or auto fire. Normal fire just means you need to mash the buttons, or turn on the switch yourself, and auto fire is its own built-in rapid fire. There's no real advantage to taking one over the other unless you have one of those early PC Engine controllers without the built-in turbo. Button 2 shoots your gun, and button 1 is complicated. Tapping it rotates through the speed options. You start at 1, it goes up to 4, and then back down to 1 again. Pressing and holding down button 1 will launch any options that you have in a forward attack. Why would they do this? Why would they put speed adjustment on a face button and put an attack function on the exact same button with ambiguous timing for how you use each? Well, I'll get to it. But first, you need to understand the power-up system. There's 2 kinds of power-ups in Image Fight. The option pods, which surround your ship, and a weapon power-up that attaches to the front of your ship. The weapon power-up's the easier of the 2 to explain. You just collect it and keep firing. You've got spread shots, bounce shots, big lasers, the things that you'd expect. Once a weapon pod is attached to the front of your ship, it doesn't come off. You can't just switch it out with another weapon if you come across something that you like better. The only way the weapon pod comes off is if it gets damaged. It needs to absorb a shot for you, and then it gets destroyed and you're free to take something else. Of course, bullets in Image Fight don't just come at you at angles convenient for taking the nose off your ship. So intentionally switching weapons is something that's a lot easier said than done. And then there's the option pods. They're much more common than the weapon pods, and you can collect up to 3 of them to surround your ship. They come in 2 varieties, blue and orange, and the colors will switch before you collect them. Blue pods are the easy ones. They shoot straight forward. They dramatically increase your firepower, they look good, they can easily line up with enemies that would shoot you. They've got enormous advantages. Then there's the orange pods. The orange pods aim in the opposite direction to where you're moving, and so constantly shift. If you want to focus fire with them, then you almost have to stop dodging. There's no way to lock which direction you're aiming, so hitting the targets that you need to get can mean that you have to move in a way that puts you into danger. So obviously you want blue and not orange, right? Well, wrong. Remember that you have to destroy a certain percentage of enemies on every stage. Image Fight loves putting them in tight alcoves where you can't shoot, or having them come up behind you. Once you're past stage 1, a huge portion of the opponents you encounter are not hittable with a forward-firing gun. The red pods are practically required, and that becomes a real problem when you fill up with 3 of them and then collect another one because they'll all switch to match the color of whatever you collected. You could easily find yourself locked into a forward shot when you need to shoot everywhere. There's even this boss at the end of stage 5 where you have to shoot behind you in order to hurt it. How can you do that without red pods? Okay, there's actually a trick for this one. Remember your speed change? Yeah, when you do that, your ship fires a little burst out the back of it, and that damages whatever's behind you. It's very short range, very dangerous to use, but you can do it. There's several codes that change up how Image Fight looks and plays. Hitting select on the title screen brings up a sound test, and then if you go all the way to the bottom, highlight Song C, and then you have to press down select 1 and 2 simultaneously. And I do mean simultaneously. It'll likely take you a few tries to get it. If you do that, then a Mr. Heli option appears, and if you return to the main menu after highlighting that, then when you start the game, you're playing as Mr. Heli, the vehicle for Irem's previous shoot-'em-up that was released on the PC Engine. And if you press and hold button 1 when Irem's logo appears, then the game screen gets squished together, giving it closer to an arcade aspect ratio. I found that Japanese players seem to consider Image Fight to be a bit of a graphics showcase for the PC Engine, maybe because there was a Famicom version they could put it side by side with. Though the other regular comment I found was people saying they couldn't get past the first stage. My own feeling on Image Fight is I just don't like the weapon system here. Tying 2 methods of attacking to speed changes is really annoying, and so are the freely aiming pods, the permanently affixed weapon pickup, and how easy it is to get yourself into a bad situation because you bumped into the wrong colored orb after you cleared a path and then tried to dodge a bullet. The absolutely brutal difficulty doesn't help either. Image Fight spackles over some of that difficulty by throwing a ton of power-ups at you, so I found myself actually able to recover when I continued. But playing Image Fight this time was a way more frustrating experience than I remembered. Maybe if they let you lock the way that you were aiming the guns, or didn't have your speed change every time you needed to shoot behind you, then playing Image Fight would be more comfortable. But as it stands, I found it to be not that much fun. It's pretty, and it sounds great, but that's offset by it being immensely frustrating.